اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل نعم المولى ونعم النصير. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين سيما بقية الله الأعظم روحي وأرواح العالمين له الفداء. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. The subject is real Islam, and we discussed certain things in regards to identifying real Islam and also seeing how people and what are the reasons by which people make up fake Islam or they distort their deen and religion. We went through that. Now just a few things that I want to mention now so that we can really, the reason we are discussing real Islam is because of the fact that Allah has warned that anyone who accepts ghayrul Islam as a deen, it will not be accepted from him. And we want to see what is actually Islam, what is deen, so that we don't want to be surprised after we die that the religion we practiced or the practice we had was not Islam, and that it was genuinely what Allah had sent and the Prophet had preached. The one thing that here important to understand and the principle to state is that the hukum of Allah is more important than the acknowledgement of Allah himself. Yes, there's one thing that is Allah, his Zat, and the other thing is the hukum of Allah. If someone acknowledges the Zat of Allah and the existence of Allah and the being of Allah and says that there is Allah, but does not obey the hukum of Allah and what Allah has commanded, what Allah has asked to do, then that acknowledgement of his being is unacceptable. It doesn't count for anything. The more important thing is the hukum of Allah. One has to find out the hukum of Allah, or where Allah wants us to bow down, where Allah wants us to go, and then bow down there and prostrate there and accept it and submit to it. That's what's more important to Allah. It doesn't matter how much you say, Allah, you're great, and Allah, you're amazing, and Allah is merciful. And when Allah tells you to do something and gives you an order or a command, and you defy it, you reject it, or you refuse to do it, to him that acceptance doesn't count for anything. And this is what Allah teaches us right away at the beginning of the Quran when he gives the example of shaitan. When Allah tells the beings and the population of the heavens and the realms after the creation of Adam, he gives the command that usjudu li Adam, make obeisance to Adam, do sajda to Adam, bow before Adam, a command for everyone, and shaitan refused to do that. Now, who was shaitan? Was he not a believer? Was he not someone who acknowledged Allah? Was he not someone who used to pray to Allah also and worship Allah? He worshipped Allah for a long time. He had ma'rifat of Allah's being. In fact, Allah quotes him in the Quran saying, Inni akhafullah Rabbul Alameen. I am afraid of Allah who is the Rabb of Alameen. Shaitan knows Allah is Rabbul Alameen. And so shaitan accepts that Allah is God, that Allah is the higher authority. But when Allah gives a hukum and He gives a command for everyone, including shaitan, then he refused to obey it. Now, did that acceptance of Allah and acknowledgement of Allah come into use? Allah refused it. He rejected him. He rejected him, kicked him out, and says, you don't belong here. You are amongst the wretched. You are amongst the wretched. So Allah is showing to us, teaching us, that the hukum of Allah has more weight in following it than accepting Allah. A person might accept Allah, might like him also, whatever it is, but if he doesn't obey the hukum and the command, it doesn't count for anything. That's why real Islam is about finding the hukum of Allah and obeying it. First, we need to find it. Second, we need to obey it. And that's why we need to see, where does Allah want us to bow? Where does Allah want us to obey? Now, that's why whenever we want to accept anything of deen, first we need to see its relationship with Allah, because Allah is the nucleus. Whatever comes out must come from Allah. Whatever claims to be good, to be great, to be holy and sacred must be from Allah. Otherwise, to us, it should be worthless. That's why when you see that Rasulullah came, and he came in front of the people and announced to the people, did we accept Rasulullah because he was great, because he was honest, because he was trustworthy, because he was a good human being, because he was a great personality, because he was amazing? Is that why we accepted him, believed in him, trusted him? Is that the reason? No. It doesn't matter how good he is, how knowledgeable he is. That's not important. What's important is that his claim wasn't that I'm great, follow me. His claim wasn't that I'm amazing and I'm much better than you all, follow me. His claim was that Allah is the one who sent me, so accept me. You see, he first claimed to have that link to Allah, the connection to Allah. If the connection is there, then yes, Rasulullah is everything. Nothing else matters after that. Nothing else matters after that. It is the link to Allah that's important. And that's what we need to go after, to find out. So Rasulullah came, and if there's one thing that all Muslims can agree on, is the fact that Muhammad is the messenger of Allah, that we can all go and refer to him. Even Allah says that if you differ in a matter, refer to the messenger of Allah. So all Muslims agree to that. And all Muslims, no matter which sect you follow, all of them must go back to the Prophet and must go back to what he said and he does. So if any Islam is going to come, it has to come from the Prophet. It cannot come from any other source. So now when we look at our link to the Prophet, we need to see, who did the Prophet then place in front of us so that we can accept and obey? Because Allah says, Atiullaha wa atiu Rasul wa ulil amr minkum. That you obey Allah, you obey the Prophet and those in charge of you. So there are people that those ulul amr must come from the Prophet. Otherwise, how would we know? They must come from the Prophet. So Prophet must say, Rasulullah must say that this is the person after me. If he doesn't say it, then is it okay for us to select someone? What happens, like some Muslims claim, that he didn't actually select anyone. He didn't appoint anyone. So in that case, what should we do? Can we elect someone? Is that what Allah is saying? Look at how Allah explains this to us. When Allah chose Adam as the Khalifa, Allah speaks about it in the Quran, and He teaches us this lesson. When Allah chose Adam as the Khalifa, the angels disputed that selection. And He speaks about that. The angels said that, are you going to choose someone who's going to cause bloodshed and mischief? Meaning, in their view, Adam is not a good selection. Adam was not a good selection. And they say that, why don't you choose one of us? We glorify you. We read your tasbih. Choose one of us as your Khalifa. So that's the view of the angels. Jibreel included. Everyone was saying, choose one of us. Now, all of them disputed the acceptance or the appointment of Adam as the Khalifa. And what did Allah do? He rejected it. He said no. He did not accept it. So Allah is teaching us that if Allah is not willing and not ready to accept the consensus of infallible angels, if He is not ready to consent or accept the consensus and the jama'at of an infallible angels, then how is He going to accept the jama'at or consensus of fallible and sinful people? Right there, Allah destroys that whole argument. He destroys that whole premise that anyone, if all the people in the world come together and try to choose Allah's representative, it cannot be done. So the only one that can appoint Allah's representative is Allah Himself. And the one who has to express it is the established wali of Allah. In this case, Rasulullah for Muslims. It is He who must announce it. So now we must say, did Rasulullah appoint a successor, appoint the Khalifa of Allah or not? Did he do it or he didn't do it? And this is why that is the main difference between what you will say the Islam of Ahlulbait and the Islam of those who don't follow Ahlulbait. This is the main difference. Did Rasulullah appoint or not? And the fact is that this Rasul, the messenger of Allah, he is from Allah. If anyone in the world, very simple, opens a factory, a business, and knows he's going to die, will he have a will to see the continuity of his project, of his business? Or is he going to say, that's it, I lived my life, whatever happens to it, it's not my problem? We know that. Logic says it. And Rasulullah did. Whether it is Ghadir, where Rasulullah has openly declared Imam Ali as the wasi and wali and said, Man kuntu mawla fahada aliyun mawla. Or even before that, in so many places that he has appointed Ali. And there's no other proof of anywhere in the history of the Prophet where he had said anything about anyone in relationship to the leadership of Muslims. To the leadership of Muslims. There's nowhere that he has said that. Any place. And everywhere you go, only Imam Ali. So now, not just Imam Ali, let me just go into detail regarding that. Not only that, you think that Rasulullah is just going to talk about now and in the near future and that's it? The Rasulullah laid out the plan of Allah until the Day of Judgment. He made it so clear for everyone that if people had listened to him and had just understood what he was saying, there wouldn't be any sort of distortion in Islam until the Day of Judgment. But it so happened that the people were deaf and dumb and blind who could not listen to or hear what Rasulullah had to say. Even on his deathbed, he was saying, give me a pen and paper so I can write down something that will help you all to stay on the right path, and that those people who want to take over power cannot take over power in Islam, and you all will be protected. But they didn't give it to him because they knew that it would go against their interests. But still, what we are talking about is the appointment of Rasulullah and his vision and how clear he made it to everyone in so many places as to what's coming after me. Let me tell you now about the hadith of the 12 Khulafa. It's in Sunni books. So many places it's there, in Bukhari, in Sahih Muslim, in Musnad of Ibn Hanbal. All of these places, you see that this book, this hadith is there. In all the Sahih books, it's there, this hadith. Now, in our books, it's mentioned in detail. But in their books, it's mentioned very clearly. لا يزال الإسلام عزيزا إلى 12 خليفة كلهم من قريش. Or لا يزال هذا الدين عزيزا منيعا إلى 12 خليفة كلهم من قريش. He says that this deen of mine will go forward with 12 leaders, 12 Khalifa, all of whom will be from Quraysh. They will be from Quraysh. 12 leaders will come after me. Yes, in this religion of mine. 12 people will come after me. Now, in another place, we see Rasulullah said, Al-a'immatu ba'di idna ashar, awwalahum Ali ibn Abi Talib, wa akhiruhum al-qa'im, fahum khulafai wa awsiyai wa awliyai wa hujajullahi ala ummati ba'di. That the Imams after me are 12, the first of whom is Ali ibn Abi Talib, the last of whom is the Qa'im, and they are my khulafa, the leaders after me. They are my awsiya, the successors, my successors, and they are my awliya, my representatives. Wa hujajullah ala ummati, and they are the proofs of Allah on this ummat. This ummat should look for them and should go after them. And then he says, al-muqirru bihim mu'min. Anyone who accepts them is a mu'min. Wal-munkiru lahum kafir. Anyone who rejects them is a kafir. Yes, kafir is the word Allah used, Rasulullah used in the hadith. Interestingly, Ayatollah Akhoy rahmatullah alayhi was asked in his lifetime by his students, and I heard from the student who was there in the meeting who asked him, and they said that they asked him that what is the position of people who don't accept Ahlulbait and don't follow Ahlulbait or reject Ahlulbait? He said, Hum al-Muslimuna fi dunya wal kafiruna fil akhirah. There are Muslims in this world, that's why we read them as Muslims, but in the akhirat, their position and their rank is that of kuffar, because they have rejected Ahlul Bayt, that which Allah has given and sent, and the Khalifa of Allah. And Allah has made it clear that the rejecter of Allah's Khalifa, rightful Khalifa, is a kafir in the Quran by saying that Shaitan, he is a kafir. Wakana minal kafirin. He is a kafir. Why? Because he rejected the Khalifa of Allah. Someone who rejects Allah's Khalifa, and that where Allah has pointed, because that is where Allah's hukum is. We go wherever Allah's hukum is. And that's why Rasulullah made it clear for everyone. He made it clear for everyone that after me there will be 12. And he said that also, that these people are there. Now let me show you more in regards to that. The ayat that says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu atiyullah wa atiyu rasul wa ulil amri minkum. This ayat is there. Obey Allah, obey the Prophet, and ulul amr amongst you. those who are ulul amr. Hadith that is from Jabir ibn Abdullah al-Ansari, one of the highlighted companions of Rasulullah from the Ansar. Jabir ibn Abdullah, who became Muslim at the beginning, way before Medina became Muslim. Jabir ibn Abdullah Ansari has said that he was with people and they asked Rasulullah, who are these ulul amr? Can you expound on that? Let me read this hadith for you. It's a long hadith. I don't want to go in details regarding this. He says, Hum khulafa'i ya Jabir wa a'immatul muslimin ba'di awwalahum Ali ibn Abi Talib thumma al-Hasan thumma al-Husayn thumma Ali ibn al-Husayn thumma Muhammad ibn Ali al-ma'ruf fi al-Tawrat bil-Baqir satudrikuhu ya Jabir fa idha laqituhu fa akrahu minni salam. He said that, Jabir, these are the Imams after me, and they are my successors after me, the leaders of the Muslim. At first is Ali ibn Abi Talib, then Hassan, then Hussein, then Ali ibn Hussein, then Muhammad ibn Ali, who is known in the Tawrat as Baqir. And Jabir, you are going to see him, and when you see him, give him my salam. Give him my salam. Then he goes on. After that he says, Thumma as-Sadiq, Ja'far ibn Muhammad, Thumma Musa ibn Ja'far, Thumma Ali ibn Musa, Thumma Muhammad ibn Ali, Thumma Ali ibn Muhammad, Thumma al-Hasan ibn Ali, Thumma Summiya wa Kunniya Hujjatallahi fi ardihi wa baqiyatahu في عباده ابن الحسن ابن علي الذي يفتح الله على يده مشارق الأرض ومغاربها ذلك الذي يغيب عن شيته غيبة. He then goes on to name all the Imams, all of the Imams by name. Who are they going to be? He named all the Imams that are coming. And he also mentioned that the 12th Imam, he is going to go in the ghaibat from his Shia. And لا يثبت على القول في إمامته إلا من امتحن الله قلبه بالإيمان. And the only ones who will take his name and the only one who will be steadfast in holding on to his imamat are the ones whose hearts have been tested with faith. Those are the only ones. Rasulullah explained in detail regarding the future for the Muslims. You think that he's going to leave the people to fend for themselves? This is Allah's messenger. Allah has made it clear for us, finding real Islam should be looking for Allah's hujjat. And Allah has not left the earth without hujjat. La yakhlul earth min al hujjat. Min al hujjah. That the earth is never empty of the hujjat of Allah. Our job as a believer looking for real Islam is to look for Allah's hujjat and find the link that goes back all the way to Allah. That is what we are looking for, my friends. Real Islam is about that, finding that. We didn't accept Imam Ali because he was courageous and brave and he was a warrior and we were scared of him. No, we accepted Imam Ali because he was the wasi of Rasulullah. He was the successor of the Prophet that Rasulullah appointed. We accepted Imam Hassan because he was appointed by Ali. We accepted Imam Hussein because he was appointed by Imam Hassan, and so forth. We have hujjat for each of our Imams that came down. And that's why it is important for us to look for that hujjat and take that link back. If the link is lost, that cannot be Islam. That is a made-up, fake Islam, not from Allah. Because when Allah sends His deen, He sends it with hujjat. In Hadith Allah, which I will not go into because it's a long hadith. In Hadith Allah, here we see Rasulullah go into detail. The hadith is in detail about all the Imams and what they are going to go through. And all the little incidents and details about their life that is mentioned there. It came after the birth of Imam Hussein. When Imam Hussein was born, Allah gifted Rasulullah with a law, a tablet, and he gave it to him. And Jabir ibn Abdullah Ansari says, I saw the tablet in the hand of Rasulullah. It was green like zamarud, and on it was white writing that was shining, that was illuminated. And Rasulullah gave that to me to read. And I read that, what was written on it. And that was with Bibi Fatima. Bibi Fatima, Rasulullah gave that to Hazrat Fatima. And she said that he gave it to me so that every time I feel sad, I can look at it and be happy knowing who my children are and who are they going to be. She used to see that. You think that Allah just left the deen in the hands of people to do what they want? Of course not. It doesn't make sense, and that's why real Islam is about knowing that and finding Allah's hujjat wherever it is, looking for it and knowing that this is from Allah. Once this is from Allah, our job is then not to think, it is just to bow down, to obey, to accept, to submit. That's it. Once we know that this Imam, that this person is the Imam appointed by Allah, then we don't need to know anything else after that. How good we know that he is good, because if Allah appoints him, if Allah has chosen him, then he must be good. Otherwise, why would Allah choose someone who is going to betray him and do improperly? Allah chose him for that, and hence first we need to know, is this from Allah? And the only way to know that is from the link from here to Rasulullah. Is there a link going back? If the link is broken, if the chain is broken, then this is not the right Islam. This is not the right Islam. It's a fake Islam. The link has to be set. And from there we can go forward to look at other things. But right now, that's it. Having the ma'rifat of our Imam is very important. That's why it is said in hadith that man ma'ta walam ya'rif imam-e-zamana mata mitatan jahiliya. Anyone who dies and doesn't know the Imam of the time, meaning he hasn't searched for him, he hasn't even looked for him, he just accepted what people said. He didn't even go to even search for him and find him and know what he stands for. That's why if a person doesn't do that in his life, it means that he was careless. He didn't care about it. He didn't care about the Imam of the time. The Imam of the time is finding him and knowing him and recognizing him and then supporting him and being with him is an obligation on every man to do in his life. And it's not easy. We need to find through our logic, through our reasoning, through our research, to look around, do our whatever analysis that we could to find that hujjat and reach itminan and have that confidence that this is the Imam of the time. This is his path. And having that, and the more you have it, the greater your position becomes. The more ma'rifat you have, the more you grow. That is your growth. Having the ma'rifat and the knowledge of the Imam of the time. That is how a person grows in ranks. The more ma'rifat, the more you grow, and the higher you become, and the closer you are to the Imam. That's it, my friends. Let me ask you this question. Let me ask you this question, and we see that. Why do you think that Imam Hussein alayhi salam appointed Abul Fadl al-Abbas as his hand? Why was Abbas the hand of Hussein, the flag bearer, the Hamilul Liwa? Why was Abbas given that position? Do you think it has anything to do with how strong he was? How much muscles he had? Do you think it has anything to do with that? that Abbas was the strongest one. That's why he's Hamilul Liwa. Do you think it has anything to do with Abbas being a skillful warrior? That his most skilled warrior is Abbas, so that's why I'm giving you the flag to hold. You think it's because of that? Look at it and truly think about it. You think it has anything to do with his courage and his bravery? Without doubt, Abbas is brave. Without doubt, he's courageous. He's the son of Ali. Without doubt, he is amazing. But him being Hamilul Liwa, the flag bearer, you think it has anything to do with that? Really, Abbas prided the courage of the children of Imam Hussain and the children of Ahlulbait al-Qasim. He was proud of these kids and the courage that they shown in Karbala. No, it has nothing to do with that. Abbas wasn't appointed because he was strong or he was skillful or he was courageous. The reason Abbas became Hamilul Liwa and the reason Abbas became the flag bearer and the hand of Imam Hussain is because more than anyone else, it is Abbas who knew what Imam Hussain was. He had more marifat and recognition of Imam Hussain than anyone else in the camp. Yes, Abbas knew what Imam Hussain stands for. Hazrat Abbas knows what Imam Hussain wants to do more than anyone. When Imam Hussain speaks, Abbas can understand deeper than anyone else there as to what Imam Hussain means by that. This is why Abbas was the Hamilul Liwa. He was special to Imam Hussain. You know, having someone who understands you is such a great thing. Look at Imam Ali. Imam Ali came, when he wanted to speak and he had knowledge to share and he had marifat to give, but there was no one to take it. And he had to then take special, just one or two people who would understand a little bit of what he said. He would take them outside like Kumail. He would grab him and say, let's go for a walk, Kumail. Then he would say that knowledge that should be shared because no one else would understand it. No one else would get it. Imam Ali knew how lonely he was. And that's why for an Imam to have someone there who can understand him, that is what Imam Ali wanted to give Imam Hussain. Yes, Imam Ali wanted to give Imam Hussain a brother who would know him and understand him in Karbala, who would have the ma'rifat to know what the Imam of the time wants. This is why Abbas was special. Imam Ali told his brother Aqil, look for a wife who's going to give me a son. And his brother Aqil introduced him to Ummul-Baneen. Ummul-Baneen, when she came home, you see, the mother had the marifat. When she came home to Imam Ali's house, Ummul-Baneen's real name is Fatima. She's not known by Fatima by anyone, but her real name was Fatima, because when she came home, she said, no one is going to call me Fatima because I don't want Hassan and Hussein to be confused that my name is Fatima and people call me Fatima and it reminds them of their mother. She said, only Fatima to Zahra will be called Fatima. This is her ma'rifat. This is how she thinks. This is how she views things. And that's how when Abbas and the brothers of Abbas were born, she used to constantly tell them that you are the children of Ali. Remember that. You are the children of Ali, but Hassan and Hussein are the children of Fatima. Never lose sight of that they are the children of Fatima. There's a difference. And that's what Abbas grew up with. He grew up with that marifat. And Abbas was like that. Abul Fadl Abbas was like that. He used to say that I loved Hussein so much that every time I saw him, I wanted to kiss him. But I respected him so much that I didn't have the audacity to do such a thing. So whenever I felt like showing my love for Hussein, I would go to Hussein's children who were young and I would take their feet and start kissing them on their feet. Abbas had this amazing love for Hussein. He had this amazing love for Hussein and for the children of Hussein. And that's why when you look on the day of Ashura, it was hard for Abbas. It was difficult for Abbas that knowing what is going on with the children of Imam Hussein, their thirst, their loneliness, their ghurbat in Karbala. When Abbas saw that, he was burning inside. He was burning inside. And that's why when everyone had gone to the battlefield and everyone had given their lives and given their shahadat, Abbas now was left alone. Everyone was martyred. One by one, Abbas saw them go. And then when everyone was gone, Abbas knew that it's time for him to go. There's no way he's going to let anything happen to Imam Hussein as long as he's alive. So Abbas goes and asks Imam Hussein, comes to Imam Hussein and says, and asks him, allow me to go. Imam Hussein said, Abbas, if you go, who's going to look after the army? Abbas put his head down in shame. He says, which army are we speaking of? There's no one left now. It's just you and me. And I can't let you go, so I have to go. Imam Hussein said, all right, so be it. Go first if you want to go, but first go and get some water for the children. They are dying of thirst. Abbas goes to the tent of the children to bid farewell to them. He goes inside there and he opens that tent door and doesn't want to go inside, just wants to peek inside one last time before he goes. He just peeks inside there and he sees little children who have become so thirsty that they raise their shirts up, expose their bellies, and they were putting their bellies on the ground so that they can get some moisture, some comfort from the ground, some coolness from the ground, so that it can help them with their thirst, to deal with their thirst. When Abbas saw that, tears in his eyes, that this is what's happening to the children of my Imam, of Imam Hussein, he said to the kids, I will get water for you. And that's all he said, and he left. When he goes to the battlefield, he goes to the river to get the water with that water can, the canteen that he had. He places, as he reaches the water, he sees the water in front of him, looks at that water and sees that water and says that don't tempt me while Hussein is thirsty. I will not touch you until the Hussein and his children get water. In his loyalty and faithfulness, he wouldn't even touch the water. He grabbed that water which he can in the can, and now he wants to go back. Umar ibn Saad sees that and says, stop him. Do not let him take water back to the camp of Hussein. They came and they start surrounding him, shooting him. But Abbas, in a skillful way, is defying them, going from one side to the other side in order to get back to the camp of Imam Hussein. But as they come from all sides and arrows coming from everywhere, there was one time time when someone comes with a sword, sees Abbas turned away, and they cut and they slash his hand with their sword, and the left hand falls to the ground. And then they go, if Abbas sees the left hand fall to the ground, he sees that, and he takes that can to the right hand, and he goes forward with the alam and the ra'ya on one hand and the flag on the other hand. He takes it to the other side, but as soon afterwards his other hand is cut off, and as soon as the other hand is cut off, he let the flag fall. He holds the canteen of water by his teeth and his mouth. He holds it in his mouth, and at that moment he wants to still go forward without these hands. He wants to go forward. What can he do? These people come from everywhere, and they start shooting arrows all over him. He is being shot at arrows. They go inside his flesh. He keeps on moving. He wants to get this can anyhow to the camp of Hussein. He made a promise to the children. He's going to bring water. He goes further and further, but a time comes when an arrow, a fateful arrow, goes into the can, breaks it open. The water falls to the ground. Abbas sees the water fall to the ground, and with that his hopes disappear. And now he just stands there and sits there on the horse, knows there's no purpose left anymore. More arrows come. One arrow goes into his eye. He starts shaking his eyes. He cannot get the arrow out of his eyes. And then finally a hammer blow that comes to his head makes Abbas fall to the ground. Imam-e-zamana remembers his uncle Abbas by saying, "Oh, my salam be upon my uncle Abbas, who when he fell from the horse, he landed on his face because he had no arms to support his fall." Abbas comes to the ground and calls out to Imam Hussein, "Alayka minni as-salam, I am leaving you." And as soon as Hussein hears that, he comes to the aid of Abbas like he did with every other soldier. When he comes there, he sees Abbas lying on the ground. Now he comes there and he wants to take Abbas back. Abbas says, "No, that's it, my friends, the last thing I will say, and you give your condolences to Fatima." Abbas says, "No, don't take me back. I'm ashamed of going back. I promised the children I will bring water, but I couldn't do that. Just leave me here. Do not take my body back to the tent. You have been working hard, and now soon it's going to be your turn, and no one is there to look after you." Hussein shudders at the thought of leaving Abbas over there because he knows what's going to happen. As soon as Hussein leaves Abbas and goes backward to the tent, he doesn't look back. History says that he never once looked back to see what was going on with Abbas, because after Hussein left there, that army of cowards who never had the audacity to face Abbas while he was alive, when they saw that he is dead, then they saw that he's lying on the ground, they came there and they started cutting his body into pieces. سيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون. يا محمود بحق محمد، يا الله بحق يا علي، يا فاطر السماوات بحق فاطمة، يا محسن بحق يا حسن، يا قديم الحسن بحق حسين. Allah gives the tawfiq to be on the right path, wisdom to understand your guidance, hasten the reappearance of our Imam, make us his helper when he comes. Oh Allah, all these mu'mineen in this year who aren't able to get together because of the virus and the disease that's out there, we ask you that you give them protection and safeguard them from any problem and any tribulation that might come that way, for the sake of Hussein and his family. In this days that we are remembering Imam Hussein, Allah, all these ibadat that we are doing, give the reward to these mu'mineen and make their lives safe and make their lives prosperous, and give them the barakat and the tawfiqat to be on the path of Imam Hussein. Oh Allah, we ask you to hasten the reappearance of our Imam and make all of us who are here such that Imam can be proud of us. Wa akhiru da'wana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alameen.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد